She escaped. She made it out. She reached freedom. Most people would have stopped there, started over, built a new life, and never looked back. But she didn't. She went back. Not once, not twice, but again, and again, and again. Her name was Harriet Tubman. And what she did was something that still feels almost impossible to understand, because escaping was already dangerous. It meant leaving everything behind, facing uncertainty, taking a path with no guarantees. But Harriet Tubman didn't just escape for herself. She made a decision that would define her legacy. She chose to return, to guide others, to help people move from where they were to somewhere they had only imagined. And every time she went back, she knew the risks, because each journey required planning, timing, awareness, knowing when to move, where to go, who to trust. There were no easy paths, no shortcuts, just routes that had to be followed carefully, quietly, and often at night. She relied on knowledge, on memory, on understanding the land and the world around her. And more than anything, she relied on courage. Because leading others wasn't just about knowing the way. It was about keeping people moving forward. Even when fear was present, even when the path wasn't clear, even when the outcome wasn't guaranteed. And yet, she never lost a single person she guided. Think about that. Multiple journeys, multiple people, different paths, and still, everyone made it. That's not luck. That's discipline. That's leadership. That's belief. But here's what makes her story even more powerful. She wasn't just helping people move physically. She was giving them something else. Hope. The belief that there was something beyond their current reality, something worth moving toward, and that belief became stronger with every journey. Because each successful trip proved something. That movement was possible, that change could happen, that the path forward existed, even if it wasn't always visible. But every time she went back, the risk didn't disappear. It remained, waiting. And the question was never just, can this be done? It was always, will it work this time? And that's what made every journey different. Because even with experience, even with knowledge, every step still mattered. Every decision still carried weight, and every moment required focus. Because once the journey began, there was no room for hesitation, only movement. Forward, always forward. And what Harriet Tubman created was more than just a path. It was a system, a way for people to move, to connect, to find their way. But the deeper you look into her story, the more you realize this wasn't just about escape. It was about something bigger, something that would turn her into one of the most important figures in history. And the more you understand what she actually did, the more one question stands out. How did one person manage to do all of this over and over again? Harriet Tubman didn't just lead people. She planned everything. Every journey started long before anyone took a single step, because timing was everything. She often chose to move at night, when it was harder to be seen, when the world around them was quieter. Darkness became protection, not something to fear, but something to use. And once the journey began, there was a structure, not random movement, not guessing, but a system. A network of routes and safe places known as the Underground Railroad. It wasn't a railroad with tracks or trains. It was a chain of people, homes, locations, each one playing a role. Some offered shelter, some provided food, some gave directions for the next step. And Harriet Tubman knew how to connect those points. She understood where to go next, when to move, and how to keep everyone on track. Because leading people wasn't just about knowing the path. It was about managing the group, keeping them focused, keeping them moving. Even when fear started to set in, and there were moments like that, moments where people hesitated, moments where the unknown felt overwhelming. But Harriet Tubman didn't allow the group to stop, because stopping could mean losing momentum, and losing momentum could change everything. So she kept them going, step by step, one destination at a time. She also used knowledge of the natural world, looking at the stars, understanding direction, using what was around her to guide the way. And that kind of awareness made a difference. Because when you don't have a map in your hands, you become the map. And that's exactly what she was. But what made her leadership even more powerful was her ability to stay calm under pressure, to make decisions when things weren't clear, to adjust when needed. Because no journey was ever exactly the same. Different people, different conditions, different paths. But the goal stayed the same: keep moving forward. And over time, her reputation grew. People began to recognize what she was doing, not just as someone who escaped, but as someone who returned again and again to help others do the same. And that kind of commitment built trust, because those who followed her believed in her ability to lead them somewhere different, somewhere better. But no matter how strong the plan was, no matter how prepared she was, each journey still carried risk, because the path forward wasn't just about direction, it was about what could happen along the way. And that's where the story becomes even more intense. No matter how well the journey was planned, there were always moments that tested everything. Moments where the path wasn't clear, where the next step felt uncertain, where fear could easily take over. And in those moments, every decision mattered because the journey wasn't just physical, it was mental, emotional. People weren't just walking through unfamiliar paths. They were leaving behind everything they had ever known. And that kind of weight doesn't just disappear. There were times when exhaustion set in, long nights, constant movement, very little rest, and the body begins to feel it. The mind begins to question, can I keep going? Is this the right path? Will this actually work? And those questions can slow everything down. But Harriet Tubman understood something important. If doubt takes over, movement stops. And if movement stops, the entire journey becomes more difficult. So she kept the group focused, not on how far they had to go, but on the next step, just one step, then another, because sometimes that's the only way forward. And then there were moments of silence, stillness, waiting, listening, paying attention to everything around them, because awareness was key. Every sound, every movement, every change in the environment meant something. And those moments required patience, the kind of patience that keeps you steady, even when everything feels uncertain. But what made Harriet Tubman different was her ability to lead through those moments, to stay calm, to make decisions when there wasn't a clear answer, to keep people moving, even when the path wasn't easy. Because leadership in moments like that isn't about having all the answers. It's about having the confidence to keep going. And that confidence spread through the group. Because when one person believes, others begin to believe too. And that belief became part of what carried them forward, step by step, moment by moment, until eventually those difficult moments began to pass, and the path ahead started to open up. But even as the journey continued and progress was made, the significance of what was happening was much bigger than the movement itself. Because each step forward wasn't just a step away from the past, it was a step towards something new. And that's what made every journey matter. Not just where it started or how it unfolded, but what it represented, a decision to move, to act, to keep going, no matter how uncertain the path may be. And that's what made Harriet Tubman's journeys more than just movement. They became something powerful, something that would be remembered, something that would continue to inspire long after the journey was complete. But what she built, what she created, didn't stop with those moments, because the impact of her actions would go far beyond the path she walked. Harriet Tubman's story isn't just about the journeys she made, it's about what those journeys created. Because every time she led a group forward, every time she returned to guide someone else, she was building something bigger than a path. She was building possibility. Think about it. One person were deciding to go back again and again, not because she had to, but because she chose to. That kind of decision changes more than just a moment. It changes what people believe is possible. Because those who followed her didn't just reach a new place, they carried that experience with them. The knowledge, the courage, the understanding that movement, even when it feels impossible, can happen. And that's how impact spreads. Not just through one action, but through what that action inspires in others. Harriet Tubman didn't just create routes. She created belief. Belief that change was possible. Belief that movement forward was worth the risk. And over time, her story became something that couldn't be ignored. Not because it was loud, but because it was powerful. Because it showed what determination looks like when it's put into action. And even today, her legacy is still here. Not just in history books, but in the way people understand courage, leadership, resilience. Because her story reminds us of something important, that sometimes the most powerful impact doesn't come from one big moment. It comes from consistency, from showing up, from doing something again and again and again, even when it's difficult. And that's what made her different. She didn't just act once, she committed. And that commitment changed lives. So if this is your first time really hearing her story like this, just know this. You're not just learning about history. You're learning about what one person can do when they decide to move forward and bring others with them. And stories like this matter because they remind us that impact doesn't always come from where you start. It comes from what you choose to do next. If you made it this far, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to Untold Black History, and share it so more people can learn the stories they were never taught. And I want to hear from you. Do you think you would have had the courage to go back and help others? Or would you have stayed once you made it? Because sometimes the most powerful choice isn't just to move forward, but to turn around and help someone else do the same.